Surprise! The Titans have signed wide receiver Tyler Lockett late on Wednesday night, the night before the draft. What does it mean for the Titans' draft plans at wide receiver? How does Lockett fit into this roster? This is a quick emergency episode of the Music City Audible. Let's get to it. Oh, welcome everyone to another episode of the Music City Audible podcast, an emergency episode. This definitely qualifies. Justin, this definitely qualifies.
Definitely qualifies.
Presented by Broadway Sports Media in partnership with 440 Sports. I'm Justin Graver. With me, as always, Justin Melo. Justin, the Titans, late on Wednesday night around 10:30 Central Time, decide to sign veteran wide receiver Tyler Lockett. He is 32 years old. I believe he'll be 33 later on this season. And he's a veteran guy who's been around, many great years with the Seahawks. I think Ian Rappaport called him Seahawks legend, Tyler Lockett, when he announced the tweet.
He is.
It's a one-year contract for $4 million with up to $6 million in incentives. So a cheap veteran option that adds another body and a veteran presence to that locker room. What do you make of this, Justin?
Yeah, this is a really good ad as long as you've got realistic expectations, okay? He's going to be 33 in September. Before week 3, he'll be 33 years old. He's coming off the worst season of his career statistically, right? He had about 600 receiving yards this past year. Got pushed down the depth chart in Seattle with Jackson Smith and Jigba. Had 100 catches this year. Took that step forward, really replaced Tyler Lockett. They do some similar things, right? As like a versatile receiver, especially in the slot, is what I mean with JSN moving around. They had a huge cap hit going into this year. Everyone knew Seattle was going to cut him. I covered that in Seattle for a little bit. I think his cap hit was like 20-something million. They knew they weren't going to pay it, preparing to cut ties with him for a while. 10 years in Seattle. Here's what I like about it, I guess. He's been very durable, right? He's barely missed any football games over these last couple of years. He's extremely reliable. He's one of the smartest wide receivers in the NFL when it comes to off-field. He's going to help young receivers in the room. Whoever the Titans draft, guys like Jaquan Jackson, Bryce Oliver, they're going to learn a lot from Tyler Lockett. They're going to learn how to be a pro. He is a multi-time Walter Payton Man of the Year award nominee. You're talking about a guy, as Mike Borgonzi comes in, new quarterback. You want to reset the culture, kind of change up the approach and attitude in the locker room. Tyler Lockett's going to be near the top of the list of the guys that do that. I get the impression that his personality, his work ethic, his approach, it's going to vibe really well with Cam Ward's. I think that's a great fit for Cam Ward. I'm going to go on and on here because I've got so much to say. He is a slot-only receiver, in my opinion.
I'm glad you said that because that's not true.
Okay.
Last year he had 25 targets of his 70 targets out of the slot. So, yes, he has been a primarily slot receiver, but yeah, last year he had 70 total targets, 25 targets out of the slot. But
Jackson Smith, keep in mind, I get what you're saying, but they got JSN.
He is a primarily slot receiver, which is why, like you just said, Tyler Lockett became expendable in addition to the massive contract that he had this year. But I think that's something that Tyler Lockett adds. Now, he's not an outside receiver.
Right,
but
and
he's not
Calvin Ridley. So where's he playing?
I agree. He's probably going to play mostly in the slot for the Titans, but that doesn't – I think he's like Ridley in the sense that you can move them around, and they may have one spot that they're maximizes their potential at, but it also, if you only play them there, it starts to reduce that maximum because defenses can, if you catch defenses off guard by moving these guys around. So I just want to say, he's a versatile pro veteran guy, and if you read anything about his career, like you mentioned the Walter Payton nominations, but he's been known his whole career in Seattle as a leader on and off the field, player voted team captain, recognized for his commitment to the craft, his selfless approach to the game, and he's been really involved in the community. So I don't think anyone should be expecting Tyler Lockett to be the Titans primarily wide receiver 2 for the duration of the season. He may start that way if you draft a rookie sometime tomorrow on Friday, or Saturday, but that doesn't mean he's going to maintain that role for the whole season. But he's a guy that can come in and teach the young guys, like you just said, how to be pros. And he can also teach them how to work off script with a quarterback who excels at making plays out of structure, because he did it with Russell Wilson all those years. And one of those years was the most efficient wide receiver season in NFL history, Justin. He's the only receiver since this tracking data began in 2002 to have more than, let me see what the exact number is, more than 15 targets for the duration of a full season and have a perfect passer rating when targeted. He had 70 targets in 2018. That was a long time ago. 70 targets in 2018, perfect passer rating when targeted. I don't think that that's the player that Tyler Lockett is in 2025. I'm not trying to say that, but it's one of the coolest NFL stats that's just like ever happened, and I want to appreciate it. And it's cool that Tyler Lockett is now on the Titans with that in his, in his history.
I think that he is one of the best off-script receivers we have seen in the NFL over the last 10, 15 years. He was just so good at it, man. When Russell Wilson was at his best and escaping the pocket, and that's who he found more often than not was Tyler Lockett. And he still got some of that to his game. So that's going to be a huge asset to Cam Ward this year. We've talked about the off-field stuff. He, again, so good in the locker room, so good for the young receivers, so good for Cam Ward as organization. As, again, they're resetting the culture. Cam Ward's going to come in and be a leader. And I think Tyler Lockett is going to be one of his champions, if you will. And back to what I said about the slot, I love when we disagree because we never do it. I just think in this offense with Brian Callahan being an 11 personnel guy, knowing that they lost Tyler Boyd or decided not to bring back Tyler Boyd. Like when they signed Tyler Boyd last year, it was to play the slot receiver in Brian Callahan's 11 personnel offense. I think it's the same thing with Tyler Lockett this offseason. It's to come in and play the slot role. And they don't got no one else on the roster that can really do it, right? Is it Traylon Burks, Jaquan Jackson? No, right? It was going to be a rookie or it's going to be Tyler Lockett. And it's going to be Tyler Lockett, in my opinion, now. Let's talk a little about how this impacts the Titans draft plans, because I'm curious about your take on this, because I'll be honest with you, I'm a little torn on how it impacts, because as much as I want to sit here and say this should have no bearing on the Titans draft plans whatsoever, because we know he's 33, he's on a 1-year contract, like this doesn't change your approach to the position, certainly for the future. But on the flip side, I sit here and I go, wouldn't it be really nice if they got an X, right? An X receiver, a guy that can play outside based on what you have in Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett. Wouldn't it be nice to complete that, at least for this year? Like, again, I don't want to put too much into it. It shouldn't have a big impact. But, like, should Xavier Restrepo be the first receiver they draft? You know what I mean? When they've got no one to play X. And, I mean, I wonder if you can get a different type of body in here now that you've got a Tyler Lockett.
I think this has zero impact on their draft plans. Like we talked about this on yesterday's episode, Reality Check. The draft is not for 2025. This is a draft for the future. And that's another reason the Titans are going to take best player available, because they're not trying to plug the 2025 roster holes. They're going to draft the best players that are on their board, that if you think you can find a high-level starter or better, it doesn't matter what position they play or what's already on your roster outside of a few rare except like you're not going to take a left tackle early because you have presumably a high-priced left tackle and a right tackle. Like there are certain positions.
He's a high-priced tackle. They paid his
yes, but there are positions that you probably have lower on your positional value board, but for the most part, they're going to take the best player available wherever and however they can. And I think Tyler Lockett is insurance for if they don't get the receiver that if they get to their pick at 35 and they don't have any value at receiver, or if they trade down and they trade down too far or whatever, they can't move back up for the right price or whatever it is, and that the value for the receivers that are there never meet the pick where they're picking, and they just say, we can't take a receiver here, it's a massive reach. That's why you sign Tyler Lockett, in case that's how the draft unfolds. And you see this almost every year with teams where a lot of the times we assume when a team signs a player in free agency that sort of takes that position off the board in the draft. And I think it's actually the opposite. A lot of times you'll see GMs and teams double dip at the same position, one free agent and then a draft pick at the same spot. And a lot of times that's building out contingency plans and building out depth where, you never know what these rookies are going to look like when they get to the league. So if you sign a veteran guy that can at least give you good snaps, even if he's not a star, then it puts less pressure on that draft pick to be good right away. And I think that's what Lockett is. So I don't think this takes Xavier Restrepo out of the mix at all. Again, this is a 1-year contract. Xavier Restrepo and Cam Ward have great chemistry, and he could be a massive value at the point in the draft where he could fall to because of his testing times. So I think it, and it might.
I don't know that he's the first one you're drafting is all
but
I
it,
meant.
But it might be, because if they get to pick 35 and they don't like the receivers there and they can't make a trade back happen, they're not going to just take a receiver. They're not going to force an X receiver just to draft an X receiver.
Of course not.
And if they have like an X receiver and Restrepo at about an even grade in the 4th round when they're picking, then yeah, maybe now they lean towards the X. But I still think they're going to take the player that they think is the best player, regardless of how he slots in. And they'll figure that out, because right now with the state of this roster, they just need to acquire as much talent as possible. So I really think that the draft for the Titans would have gone exactly the same with or without this Lockett signing. Like, I think it has literally no bearing, and it might even be a signal that the Titans want to draft a similar player so that that player can come along slowly during Lockett's 1 year here during their rookie season and then be inserted to fill the same role. Like, I think they could draft someone to fill the exact same role for 2026 and beyond.
Yeah, I'd get that. He's on a 1-year deal. He's not going to be here in 2026, more likely than not. I think I'll close out with this. Tyler Lockett is my closing statement. Tyler Lockett will have a bigger off-field impact than on-field impact for the Titans. And that's just to temper expectations, because, again, I think he's going to be an exceptional leader, a team captain, an exemplary presence in the locker room for everyone, but especially whatever young receiver or receivers, plural, that they draft this weekend. He's going to be an exemplary presence. He's going to teach them a lot. He's going to be a second wide receivers coach on the practice field. Like, that's what he's going to be. He's going to teach them. Remember when Julio Jones was here and didn't have a huge impact on the field, but in training camp, all the receivers were like, oh my God, like, he's teaching me so much. The body slows down, the mind doesn't, right? Like, Tyler Lockett's going to have a lot of knowledge to share. I'll throw it back to you before I get to the final part of my closing.
He's going to be the 3rd receivers coach, because Shannon Dawson said that Cam Ward is the best receivers coach in the country.
Rob Moore is the 2nd receivers coach, the actual receivers coach.
Yeah.
If I had to temper expectations for on-field, if I had to make like a statistical guess this year, like, Tyler Lockett catches like 43 passes for 530 receiving yards.
Okay, I was going to ask you over under 500 receiving yards, and then I decided to reframe my question. You've already answered it, but better or worse statistical season than Tyler Boyd, who had 39 catches for 390 yards last year?
I'm going to go slightly better, but not by a ton, like about 100 more receiving yards, 150 more. I'd be surprised if he surpasses 650 receiving yards. I think this is a 500 receiving yard player at this point in his career. But they've got some options. This is a great signing. The price is right. 1 year, $4 million. They had money to burn, and what they're going to get from him, again, from a veteran leadership experience perspective, is really good up. But as I mentioned earlier, he's super durable, which is crazy at this point in his career. He still doesn't get hurt. Goes back to what Mike Borgonzi's done in free agency with Xavier Woods and Dan Moore Jr., guys that just haven't been hurt throughout their career. Kevin Zeitler, Draymond Jones, all these guys played a lot of football that they've brought in, and Tyler Lockett fits that mold. So I'm excited to have him. My expectations are realistic on the field, but he's going to be a great asset to this entire organization, especially Cam Ward as a rookie quarterback.
Yes, and there's a reason he never gets hurt, by the way. It's because as soon as he catches the ball, he goes down. He never takes a hit. He refuses. He refuses to take a hit in the open field, which is a smart way to play. I do wonder, he's established himself at this point. If he was a 22-year-old coming out and it's like he never fights for extra yards, you might rub some teammates and coaches the wrong way. But where he is at in his career, nobody's going to have any issue with it. But yes,
he's in his 11th season for a reason.
Yes, and he protects his body, and that's why he stays healthy. And I think that this is another guy in the same vein of like all those signings that Washington Commanders made last year that helped them, reset the culture and turn things around faster than you expected. Like, Tyler Lockett fits into that mold as well, along with all the guys that you just named with their durability and their veteran presence. And it's a smart, quality, low-cost signing that's, again, not going to have major statistical impacts, but the impacts will be felt. So agree with everything you said. I think we're in most agreement here, except for the slot thing. I think he is going to play mostly in the slot, but I'm just saying he can move around a lot. All right. We didn't expect to do this episode. We said on our last pod that it was the last one before the draft. This is the actual last one before the draft, but we'll be back later tonight with our Cam Ward reaction when the Titans make that officially the number one pick. Any final word, parting words before the draft? Anything changed since what you said as your parting words yesterday, Justin?
No, I'm glad that we got a chance to do this. I'm glad the Titans signed Tyler Lockett. I was excited when I found out about it. We have some comments on YouTube right now. Where's the emergency pod for Tyler Lockett? Someone said that definitely qualifies as an emergency pod. We agree with you. We delivered it to you. Excited about this edition, and I think we both have realistic expectations for it. It's finally here. Excited to see how the draft plays out.
Can't wait. All right. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Like this video. Drop a comment below. How excited are you for Tyler Lockett? Maybe throw us a stat prediction for Tyler Lockett 2025 season in the comments below. And thanks to Sinkers Beverages. Like I said, we'll be back tonight. So until then, y'all stay safe out there and tighten up.
A Broadway sports media production.